Welcome back to Explaining Everything, the channel where we dive into the stories, mysteries, and traditions behind everyday things. Today's question comes from one of our thought-provoking viewers, Epic Gamer Diplomat. Thanks for the suggestion, Epic Gamer. You asked, why do graduates toss their caps in the air? If you've ever been to a graduation, you've seen it. 1 second, the grads are standing in their stiff, oversized gowns, looking all formal, and the next, whoosh, caps go flying, creating a battlefield of airborne squares. But have you ever wondered why? Is it just a tradition? An act of rebellion against expensive academic regalia? Or is it simply what happens when you put thousands of exhausted students together and tell them they're free? Well, grab your imaginary diploma and get ready, because today we're uncovering the surprising history behind the great graduation cap toss, right here on Explaining Everything. Believe it or not, this whole tradition didn't start at your local high school or college. It started with the United States Naval Academy. Yep, the same people responsible for battleships, sailor hats, and yelling, "Aye, aye, Captain," also gave us the greatest moment of any graduation ceremony. Back in 1912, Navy graduates were given a new hat, an official officer's cap, at the end of their training. That meant their old, boring midshipman hats were suddenly useless. So naturally, they did what any group of overworked young people would do. They chucked them into the air in celebration. It was like the ultimate goodbye. Old life. Hello, new adventure moment. The sight of hundreds of caps soaring into the sky must have looked so epic that other schools saw it and said, "We're stealing that." And they did. Now, over 100 years later, it's a universal symbol of graduation. And it all started because some Navy students didn't feel like carrying their old hats home. All right, quick side question. Why do graduates wear these ridiculous square hats in the first place? I mean, if we're going to throw something in the air, why not make it, I don't know, aerodynamic? Well, the classic mortarboard cap comes from medieval scholars. Back in the day, education was closely tied to religion, so scholars wore hats similar to the ones worn by clergy members, except they were squared off, apparently to make them look extra wise. It was basically the 14th century way of saying, "Look at me, I am smart." And because nothing in academia ever changes quickly, the look stuck. That's why, centuries later, we're still wearing mini rooftops on our heads for graduation. Now, tossing your cap is fun and symbolic. But let's be real, it's also a surprisingly dangerous sport. You've got hundreds, sometimes thousands, of sharp-edged hats being flung into the air simultaneously. And guess what? What goes up must come down. There have been actual injuries from flying graduation caps. We're talking scratches, bruises, and even stitches. Imagine surviving 4 years of grueling schoolwork only to leave graduation not with a diploma, but with a forehead wound from someone's poorly aimed cap. Because of this, some schools have banned the cap toss. Instead, they suggest a symbolic gesture, like lifting your cap in the air or gently placing it down, which, let's be honest, is nowhere near as satisfying. It's like being told you can't blow out your birthday candles, but you can wave your hands at them. But why do we love tossing things in the air when we celebrate? Turns out, it's science. Throwing something is a universal expression of joy and freedom. Think about it. People toss their arms up when they're excited. They throw confetti at celebrations. They even launch wedding bouquets to determine who's next in line for emotional turbulence. For graduates, it's the ultimate way to let go of years of stress. The exams, the all-nighters, the overpriced textbooks that no one actually read. The second that cap leaves their hand, it's like an official goodbye to school and hello to whatever comes next. Now here's something you might not have thought about. What happens to all those caps after they're tossed? Well, in a perfect world, everyone catches their own cap like some kind of highly trained reflex ninja. But in reality, not so much. Some people accidentally grab the wrong cap, which is either too small, too big, or smells suspiciously like hair gel. Some just leave their caps behind, turning the graduation venue into a landmine of abandoned headwear. And if your school rents the caps, congratulations, you just threw something you have to return. Good luck explaining to the rental company why you no longer have the thing they specifically told you not to lose. The cap toss started with the U.S. Naval Academy in 1912 because graduates no longer needed their old hats. It spread to other schools because it looked cool and felt even better. The mortarboard itself comes from medieval scholars who wanted to look distinguished but ended up making everyone look like they had tiny rooftops on their heads. Tossing the cap is fun, but it's also a surprisingly dangerous sport. Some schools want to ban it, but let's be real. Good luck stopping an entire class of excited students from launching things into the air. At the end of the day, the cap toss isn't just about hats. It's about that one perfect moment when students, after years of stress, finally feel free, victorious, and completely hatless. So if you're graduating soon, toss that cap high. Just maybe wear some protective eyewear. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. And if this video answered your curiosity about this graduation tradition, hit that subscribe button. And hey, if you have suggestions for our next video, feel free to share them in the comments below. We'll be sure to give you an acknowledgement for your contribution. Thank you for tuning in and join us next time here in the channel that answers all the why, what, who, where, and how questions you've always wondered about here on Explaining Everything.